Hey, happy Wednesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston, and I just got to tell you how much I appreciate you being with me. I really do. You know, I'm hearing from people literally all over the world. I'm hearing from people who have been futurists all of their lives, and it really doesn't matter whether it's amillennialism, postmillennialism, or dispensationalism. They tell me over and over how refreshing, how exciting it is to discover the truth of covenant eschatology. And they're finding this series that I'm doing in response to David Hester's 23 affirmative arguments that he offered in our formal public debate July 14th and 15th, 2016, here in Ardmore, Oklahoma. Dr. David Hester offered 23 arguments in rapid machine gun style. Obviously, I did not have time to get to all of those arguments, so he managed to get up and say, well, see, Preston didn't answer my arguments, therefore he's obviously a false teacher. But of course, you know, getting up and reading 23 arguments in rapid style, doing no exegesis, absolutely not demonstrating that you're exercising the proper hermeneutic. Now, were Dr. David Hester's syllogisms properly formed? Yes, but the premises were false. And that's what I'm doing in this series in responding. I am demonstrating the presuppositional nature, the false nature of his propositional arguments. See, syllogisms are a great way to teach. But if your major premise is false, if your minor premise is false, guess what? Your conclusion is false. And Dr. David Hester's propositions were false. Nothing could illustrate that more than one of his arguments, argument number 16, in which he argued on Ephesians chapter 1, 19 and following, in which it says that God had given Jesus a name above every name, both in this age and the age to come. As I noted in the previous video, according to Dr. David Hester, the Old Covenant age of Moses ended at the cross. Well, that's false. And I want you to hang on as I demonstrate how I proved that in the debate, and Dr. David Hester never responded to it for a moment. So Dr. David Hester reasons, falsely reasons, but he reasons nonetheless. The Mosaic age ended at the cross. The Christian age was established on Pentecost. Paul is anticipating the age to come in Ephesians chapter 1. Therefore, as he says, there is another age, quote, subsequent, coming after, the present Christian age. Well, go back and watch the previous video. The Christian age has no end. But I want you to catch this. Dr. David Hester believes the Christian age is what is known biblically as the last days. The last epoch of time. After the Christian age, there is no more time. Now, he never even began to attempt to prove that time will end, which is what was in his proposition, but he never said one syllable of proof to prove that time will end. Okay, now watch this. During the debate, all right, during the debate, I made the following argument. The resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 will come or would come at the end of the last days. David Hester agrees. The resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be when, quote, the law, unquote, which was, quote, the strength of sin, unquote, would be removed. David Hester agrees. Number 3, but the law that was the strength of sin was, quote, the law of Moses, unquote. David Hester agreed. I have it in writing. He agreed. Therefore, the resurrection at the end of the last days would take place at the end of the law of Moses, the law that was the strength of sin. Do you catch the power of that? If the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 has not been fulfilled, then the law of Moses, i.e. the strength of sin, is still in effect. Because the law that was the strength of sin would not be removed until the resurrection at the end of the last days. Dr. David Hester claims that the law of Moses was nailed to the cross. Well, I'm sorry, folks. You cannot have the law of Moses nailed to the cross, annulled, abrogated, removed, no longer in effect, and still have Paul anticipating the removal of the law of Moses, i.e. the law that was the strength of sin, at the so-called end of time. Dr. David Hester, I offered this argument 4 times, at least 4 times in the debate. Dr. David Hester did not utter one single syllable in response. Why? It was pretty obvious. This single argument, this one argument, completely falsifies every single thing that Dr. Hester argued for a future coming of the Lord at the so-called end of time. It negates everything that Dr. David Hester said and argued about the passing of the law of Moses. So one more time. The resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be the end of the last days, the current Christian age, according to Dr. David Hester. But the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be when the law that was the strength of sin came to an end. The law that was the strength of sin was the law of Moses. Dr. David Hester agrees. Therefore, the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 would be or will be when the law of Moses, the strength of sin, is removed. If the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 has not been fulfilled, the law of Moses, every jot, every tittle of it, remains valid. Let me remind you, if you want an in-depth study of the last days, how it impinges on this very issue, how it destroys Dr. David Hester's all-millennial eschatology and basically all futurist eschatologies, then get a copy of my book, The Last Days Identified. Go to my website, eschatology.org or bibleprophecy.com, or go to privideos.com and just go there and look around. Great resource, all right? I'm telling you right now, you will see very quickly when you read this book that Dr. David Hester's 23 arguments are completely nullified by just one simple argument that he himself admitted that every premise in the argument is valid, true, and biblical. And we're not done. We'll have more on the flip side. So we'll see you there.